Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Dan Lambe, president of the Arbor Day Foundation, and welcome to the 2021 Partners in Community Forestry Conference. It is great to be back with everybody. It is great to be back in Louisville. This is, without question, the Arbor Day Foundation's favorite event we get to be a part of every single year. And we couldn't be more excited to see our old friends' faces who are a little bit older. We're already meeting new friends. This is just, it's the diversity, it's the enthusiasm, it's the energy of this event that brings us back. So thanks everybody for being here. We really appreciate it. Thanks for making this event what it is, really. So we have over 500 people participating in the Partners in Community Forestry Conference this year, more than 100 of them live streaming. So for those of you who are live streaming, I hope you're able to enjoy this conference and get as much out of it as we are going to here. We have over 350 people here. Everyone in this room has been vaccinated or had a negative test within the last 3 days. So thanks for participating in our COVID protocol. We really appreciate that. Thanks for engaging. Yeah. We have people from all over the country. We have people from all over the world here today because urban and community forestry is a global game. And we're doing important work all around the globe. So thanks for being here. And I do this every time at the Partners in Community Forestry Conference. Show of hands if this is the first time you've ever been to a Partners in Community Forestry Conference. It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, more than half of the audience, this is the first time you've ever been to the Partners Community Forestry Conference. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you love it. Welcome. And welcome to Louisville. Welcome to a city that's been a Tree City, USA for over 20 years. It's a beautiful river city. If you haven't gotten out already, you will get out to see it on the tours. There's great culture here. There's unique history in this community, wonderful parks that you're going to get to see on the tours, and innovative those partnering organizations who since 2007 have been helping us drive the diversity of this audience, including the Society of Municipal Arborists, the Alliance for Community Trees, National Association of State Foresters, International Society of Arboriculture, and the Utility Arborist Association. So help me thank them for continuing to support this. And also our sponsors. We can't do these kinds of things without sponsors and exhibitors. And I'll tell you what, please make time to go visit the exhibitors. Make time to meet these sponsors because they are creative, they are innovative, and if they aren't already your partners in community forestry, they should be. You should get to know these people because they're doing innovative things and they can be great collaborators for you. Okay, so at the Partners in Community Forestry Conference every year, we introduce a theme, something for you to think about, something for you to consider while you're here over a couple of days, something for you to take home. And we try and do a theme that's relevant for the urban forestry community, but also something that's good for you personally as a professional. And we always try and come up with something that's current, something that's timely for the moment, something that's timely for what's happening in urban and community forestry. And as we were thinking about the theme for this year, we were reflecting on themes of past years. Themes like courage, having courage to be bold in urban forestry work. Catalyst, we talked about the chemistry that it takes to have thriving, successful urban forest programs. We talked about now and the urgency of urban forestry today, the urgency of our work today. We've had a theme of what's next. What is the next program, the next partnership, the next possibility that you can lead? But today, this year, we want you to think about and ask yourself, why? Why do we do what we do? Why do we care for, plant, and manage trees? And why our work is so important? This room is full of leaders, experts, and professionals in urban forestry. You are planting and managing trees all across the U.S. and many of you around the world. You're engaging tree planters. And while you're here, we want you to think about why that work is so important. And while you're doing it, I just want to remind you of how vital the work you're doing is. Because in 2021 alone, in the U.S., more than 6.5 million acres of land burned. And it wasn't just grasslands and traditional forest lands. Those fires are moving into our cities, in our neighborhoods, into our urban forests, damaging and destroying millions of trees. I don't have to tell you about the increasing frequency and severity of natural disasters. We're all feeling it. We're seeing it firsthand, like Hurricane Ida, that swept through huge parts of the United States, downing and destroying critical tree canopy. And it hasn't just been hot where you live, it's been hot everywhere. 2021 was the hottest summer on record in the United States. And those excessive temperatures are taking a real toll on people, on trees, and oftentimes on our most vulnerable populations. And this list, as you know, goes on and on and on, and that is why we say if ever there was a time to be planting trees, that time is now. If ever there was a moment for the leadership you provide in your communities, in your neighborhoods, in your cities, that time is now. It continues to be the time for trees, and your work is important. So thanks for being here. You are a great community. You are problem solvers. You are experts. No question about it. This community is great at the what and the how of urban forestry. We nail it. You can talk for hours about the right tree and the right place. Should we stake this tree? Should we not stake this tree? How deep should we plant this tree? Unfortunately, I've heard some of you talk for hours about just that. I've heard it. We're nailing the what and the how. We get it. Some of you may have seen this meme on social media. It maybe hits a little close to home for some of you. Show of hands. Is this familiar with some of you? I know it is. I've been at those parties with you. I know it is. And that's okay. Here, you're in a safe space. You're with peers. This is a picture from the networking reception in Cleveland in 2019 at the partners. It was a great party. And let me tell you what's on everybody's mind at this party. It's trees, okay? Spoiler alert, it's trees. That's what we're thinking about is trees. This is a safe space. It's okay. It's okay. You can talk about trees here because we're to learn, to connect, and to share with one another. That's what we do. Sometimes it is hard, though. Sometimes we can go a little bit far. We know that. But it's like any profession. I have to imagine, it's like if you're a coach of a football team or a basketball team or any coach, to go to another game and not pick apart their schemes, their strategies, their moves, their tactics, it's got to be kind of hard. Like if you were an artist, a painter or a photographer, and you went to another gallery, it would be hard to not critique their brush strokes, their lighting choices, It's hard. When you're a professional, You know a lot of things, right? It's kind of like this picture. Like, most people outside of this room would look at this picture and say, that is gorgeous. That is Americana, if ever it was. Gorgeous fall color, family walking to school, happy, not yelling at each other, swinging their backpacks at each other. It's almost perfect. But I know what's going through some of your minds right now. Is that a monoculture of sugar maples? Let me check the spacing on those trees. They've got to be planted too close together. Somebody has got to rake up those leaves because they're going to clog our storm drains and cause problems for the city. And would somebody get that ash tree out of there, please? Please. It can kind of disrupt a beautiful picture. The what and the how can. But not in Boston. Not beautiful Boston. Yeah, beautiful Boston for sure. Idyllic city, vibrant community. Who would not want to live in this urban setting, this vibrant urban community? But I know, I can already see what's going through some of your minds. There is no way those tree pits are big enough for those trees. There is no way those tree pits are big enough, and it's going to start ripping up that sidewalk in the street. Someone's going to be calling my office in a couple weeks, and that tree is too close to that building interference. It goes on and on and on, but it's okay. The what and the how is important. It's more than okay, it's critical, because there is a right way to do things, and that's why you're professionals. As we're trying to create healthy, sustainable forests, it's important to focus on the what and the how. But we need to be better at talking about why. We need to go beyond the what and the how and talk about why. Why we plant, why we care, and why our work is so important. And it's because of people. It's because of our neighbors. It's because of families and children. It's people. That's our why. We are trying to create healthy communities where people can thrive and live and be comfortable. Our why is to create healthy space for relief and comfort and restoration, to create equitable and fair neighborhoods and tree canopy and access to the benefits of urban forests for everybody across the city. For shade. Our why is for shade, for cooler, healthier communities, and ultimately more resilient and thriving and sustainable cities. That is why we do this work. That's why we do it. And I will tell you, it is honorable, and it is essential what you do, and it is important. So how do we tell the story of the why a little more clearly? There are going to be sessions today and tomorrow where people in this community will share how they share their why, how they talk about their why. And we're going to hear some creative examples like this on Twitter and Instagram, other social media posts from organizations in this room. And they're not talking about root girdling, and they're not talking about root flare, they're talking about water, and they're talking about health, and they're talking about creating stronger neighborhoods where families walk to school together, and where kids grow up, and where they learn to play, and learn to be part of a community and be engaged in that community. We're going to talk about a why of transforming communities and neighborhoods, bringing economic value and social justice and equity to all neighborhoods. That's what we're doing here. So while you're here, we want you to ask why. While you're here, why do you do this work? Why are you a part of this community? Whatever the reason is, we're thrilled you're here. We are proud to get to work with you in urban forestry and know you are in a place with innovators, you're in a place with dreamers, and you're in a place with passionate leaders and professionals. You are in a great peer group, okay? I discovered this peer group, this community about 17 years ago. Almost 17 years ago when I started with the Arbor Day Foundation. And my profession was not in the tree biz. I was nonprofit work, but I wasn't working in trees. And as a joke, when I left my old job, my team members gave me a present, and it's this book. And it's kind of a kid's book, but the joke's on them because it's actually a really good book. There's a lot of information here about what and how of trees, and it was really helpful. I still have it. I have it in my office, and as I was preparing for this, I thought about that book because it's great. It's a great book on what and how, but it doesn't talk about the why. And that book isn't what inspires me in this room. That book isn't what fills my bucket. What fills my bucket is the why. It's the impact of what you all do. That's why I love being in this room with this community. It's not the what and how. I love that you know how to do it. It's the why. Like Tucson. Beautiful city. Who's from Tucson? Awesome city. Beautiful city, but hot. On the front lines of urban heat, no question about it. And their why, one of their whys, is to create safer, cooler communities. And so the city, along with Tucson Clean and Beautiful, is working to increase their canopy from 8% to 15%, which is not easy to do in the desert. And they're focusing on the neighborhoods that need it the most. That's their why. Like St. Louis. Who's from St. Louis? If you have not been to St. Louis, you should go because it is another really cool river city. And one of their whys for the city, for forestry leaders there, like the city, like Forestry Relief and other organizations in St. Louis, is to drive progress in equity and inclusion. Planting trees with purpose, bringing access to the benefits of trees to all neighborhoods, especially the neighborhoods that have been neglected. And Atlanta, a booming city. Who's from Atlanta? I know we've got Atlanta. Yes. A booming city, really strong urban forestry leaders at the city level. Trees Atlanta, other great leaders in urban forestry in Atlanta, a model city of urban forestry, even though they'll complain about it for days and days and days. But they do great work. They've got lots of whys. But one of their whys is to feed their community. This is just one of their whys. And so they're part of a community urban food forest, which is not just creating fruits and nuts, but engagement and connections with their community. So everybody understands the why. So we want each of you to ask yourself, what's your why? And how are you gonna share that story? Because we are dying to hear it. We want to hear it. You're in the right place to share it and discover it. So while you're here at the Partners Conference, embrace it. Embrace the community. Be ready to learn. Be ready to share. Be ready to connect. And be ready to have fun, okay? Because you're going to make some new friends while you're here. So be ready to have fun. We are thrilled you're here, and we're thrilled to be hosting the 2021 Partners Community Forestry Conference. So welcome once again. Thank you. So thank you. We have a lot of great presenters this morning. We've got an abbreviated general session, going to concurrent session, coming back here. But as we always do, we have a couple of our partnering organizations do some welcomes. And one of the main partners we've had since 2007, since we launched this initiative of the Partners Community Forestry Conference, is the United States Forest Service. And joining us today via a recording, because the United States Forest Service is not allowed to travel to these events yet, is Beatra Wilson, who oversees the U.S. Forest Service National Urban Forestry Programs. Many of you know Beatra. If you don't know Beatra, you want to get to know Beatra because she is a champion for you. She is a champion for urban forests and access and equity in urban forests. She loves this community, and she wanted to make sure she was able to give a welcome. So please help me welcome Beatra Wilson.
Hello, Partners in Community Forestry 2021. Good morning. I'm Beatra Wilson, Assistant Director for Urban and Community Forestry at the U.S. Forest Service. Many of you know me. Many of you I cannot wait to meet, but I am terribly sorry to not be there in Louisville with you all, but excited to know that Arbor Day Foundation has found a way to bring back the Partners in Community Forestry Conference safely and also generate the excitement and anticipation that it has long had. So thank you to you all for showing up, and thank you for the partnership and the work you're doing for urban and community forestry. I'm excited for you all to know that you're there connecting and collaborating and thinking about what you're going to do to help us develop the most equitable urban forest experience for communities across the country. We're excited about the work you've been doing, whether you're there representing traditional municipal urban forest management, urban wood utilization, urban forest research, arboriculture, or just passionate about trees and communities and making sure that our community forest and our urban forests are healthy and vibrant, and they will be sustained for years to come. Thank you for being there. You know, Dan mentioned why in his talk and in his theme, and I have long been an advocate to just continue to scream from the mountaintops that, you know, the way I learned urban forestry and the way I've worked in urban forestry for more than 20 years, it's been so much more about the human resources in the communities and what we can do to improve their livelihoods. We have the natural resources down pat, conservation, urban forest management. We have been innovative. We have been dynamic leaders in this country, bringing cutting edge science to what we do. But in this season, we have this tremendous tailwind to work with equity, to be more empathetic in the communities we're working with. Because of you all advocating for this program and the work we do, we are at historic high. We've had $40 million in this most recent fiscal year 21, and that's allowed us to assist more than 7,100 communities. But what's unique about moving forward is, you know, we've done the math and we've taken a look at the numbers from our performance. And what we found is that there's 56 million people living in communities who are eligible to be assisted by this urban and community forestry program at the U.S. Forest Service, but for whatever reason are not currently under active urban forest managed programs. And that's where you all come in. We are a small team in the Forest Service, urban and community forestry, and we don't hesitate to share with our leadership and our colleagues how important our network of urban forestry partners is. Without you all, we could not get this work done. So I am always going to say thank you, but I'm also going to challenge you to help us help those most vulnerable, those most disadvantaged, and perhaps just those who have not had an opportunity to experience our urban and community forestry assistance program. Thank you to Arbor Day for always being this long-standing partner, helping us on the side, whether it's through the Tree City USA program, the various suite of campus and hospital and USA programs. We want to make sure that everybody knows that we are available as a partner and as a friend. As we are entering this phase with implementing the program under a new administration, an administration that has priorities around climate change, priorities around racial equity, environmental justice, diversity and inclusion. These are such tailwinds for us to deliver this program, and we are excited that we have the chance to do it with you. We know we cannot do it alone. Just as I mentioned the 56 million people living in communities, we are going to have to roll up our sleeves in a way we've not been rolling them up before. We are trying to engage with communities that we may not have existing relationships with, and we're meeting new partners and meeting new trust partners in these communities. And that's exciting. That's exciting for us, and we want to make sure that the resources are provided from us as a federal partner and a federal program to make sure you all are as successful engaging communities on the ground as possible. We've realized that it's not just about natural resources. And I say that because we've spent so much time from a national program talking through conversations around extreme heat, air and water quality, and the mitigation behind so many different types of disasters, natural disasters, but then also some man-made disasters. We want to make sure that this program and the mission of this program to improve the conditions of urban forests are always around for not just our generation, but the next generation. And that includes the next generation of workforce, the next generation of who will be in the communities engaging. I want to thank you one more time for being here. We want to wish you a safe and exciting conference, but also we want to thank you for your leadership and for being around for us for as long as you have and for years to come. Arbor Day, congratulations. And we're excited, but we're missing you, but we're excited to be with you all via live stream as much as possible, tuning in and engaging with you. After the conference, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you, Beatra. I know you're tuning in, and to all of our friends and leaders of the U.S. Forest Service around the country, thank you for your support and engagement. One of the other great leaders that embodies the spirit of the Partners in Community Forestry Conference is State Forestry. There are a number of state forestry leaders in the room, a lot of others tuning in via live streaming, but we have a welcome from the Kentucky Division of Forestry from Steve Kull. And Steve Kull and I got to plant trees and engage hundreds of young tree planters several years ago in Kentucky. So please help me welcome Steve.
Thank you, Dan. And I guess I passed the first test. I got up the stairs without tripping, so it's all good right now. Again, as Dan mentioned, I'm Steve Kull. I'm Deputy State Forester here in Kentucky. Our State Forester, Brandon Howard, wasn't able to be here today, so he sends his regrets, but I want to welcome you all to the great state of Kentucky. It's a beautiful state, and no offense to Boston, Atlanta, the other cities, but who all here is from Kentucky? There you go. There you go. So what they know and what I hope you're able to experience, whether it's your first time here in the state or whether you've been here before, that you get the opportunity to enjoy lots of things Kentucky has to offer. It's a great state. I joined it 42 years ago and never left. It's a beautiful state. Whether we have 120 different native species, so it's kind of interesting for an arborist and a forester to be able to identify all of those and manage them, but nonetheless, it's a great challenge to have whether you're in the river bottoms of the Mississippi River or you're all the way across the state to the foot of the Appalachians and 4,000 feet up on Black Mountain. There's a lot of Kentucky has to offer. We have great areas right here in the city, and I'm sure the mayor will probably brag on that a little bit, but hopefully you'll get a chance to get out and see some of those things such as Churchill Downs. Everybody knows Churchill Downs and the Kentucky Derby was famous for. So you have Louisville Slugger here, where some of those ash trees that got cut down turn into bats and make home runs for some baseball players. Right next door is Muhammad Ali Center, honoring one of the greatest boxers that ever lived. So Kentucky has a lot to offer, but we also have it in natural resources as well. We have 12 million acres of forest. That's over half the state. And of those forests, they provide a resource to a wood-using industry that's a $14 billion economic impact in this state. So there's a lot to see, a lot to offer. Hopefully you'll get out and see some of the town, enjoy some of the tastes of Kentucky. Two of my favorites, the Kentucky Hot Brown and Derby Pie, both originated here in Louisville. And my cardiologist doesn't like it, but I enjoy them quite often. But anyway, and of course you can't talk about Kentucky and food without recognizing the Colonel who started this famous chicken recipe in Eastern Kentucky, and it's gone worldwide. So again, I hope you take the time to get out here, enjoy some of the maybe navigable waters that we have here in the state. We have more miles of navigable waters than any other contiguous state. So it's not just trees, but it's that water quality, and that water quality is what helps add to one of the signature things here in Kentucky, and that is bourbon. Maybe some of you have had a little bit of that, or hopefully you'll be able to get a chance to sample some of our bourbon here in Kentucky. But you can't have that without white oak. And the white oak that's here is $134 million just in the cooperage industry of the value of this state, but there's 4 barrels of whiskey for every man, woman, and child in Kentucky, right in warehouses across the state. I'm still looking for my 4, but hopefully I'll be able to find them at some time, and when I do, hopefully they'll be ready to go. But anyway, hope you get to enjoy that, and of course, our horse industry. It's an $8 billion industry here in Kentucky and extremely valuable. Our central bluegrass region has phosphorus-rich soils that nourish some of the fastest thoroughbreds in the world. So as you can tell, Kentucky has a lot to offer, and I hope you get a chance to see some of that. But really appreciate that you all are here and that partnerships is the theme of this. And I think this afternoon, some of the whys will help get answered, Dan. I think when you start seeing the great things that we're doing in Louisville, and it's because folks like you all, agencies, organizations that get together to make a difference. And I think you'll see some of that this afternoon. So that being said, I hope you enjoy the state. I hope you get a chance to get out if it's your first time or if you've been here before. But if for some reason you're not able to, or Dan keeps you too busy to get out and enjoy a little networking, maybe down the street at a local brewery or something, but I'll just leave you with what we say in the South, and yes, Kentucky is in the South. But if you can't make it around, y'all come back. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. At the networking reception tonight, we will get to try a lot of those local treats. Okay, so partners in community forestry. Anyone who works in a community knows it takes partnerships. You cannot do it alone. It takes nonprofit engagement, volunteer engagement, city staff, other engagement, but it helps when you've got a mayor who champions your work. And we're excited to welcome the mayor of Louisville today to welcome us to the Partners in Community Forestry Conference. I just met Greg this morning. Greg is an entrepreneur and an innovator. But what we're most interested in is that he is a champion of urban forests and a part of the urban forestry team in this city. So please help me welcome Greg Fischer.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our great city. We're delighted to see everybody back in person again. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but when you get together things like this, there's just like a extra pep in your step that we realize how important it is to get together and learn from each other and just celebrate the fact that we're human beings together. I want to start by thanking Henry Heiser and Cindy Sullivan, two tremendous champions for our city with urban trees, and one main reasons why the conference is here, but love you guys and really appreciate all the leadership. I've got about 14 months left as mayor. You're term limited here on how long you can spend your time as mayor, but when I became mayor, I said we're going to have three big values for the city. A city of lifelong learning, a city of compassion, and an even healthier city. And when we talk about health, it's just not physical health and mental health, it's environmental health as well. We are learning more than ever, obviously. It's painfully obvious, it should be to everybody, but especially on the heels of COP26 in Glasgow, that we have so much work to do as human beings to realize one fundamental truth, and that is human beings are nature. We tend to be very arrogant, and we think we are not nature and we can control nature. And guess what? Mother Nature tells us that is not the case. And so with all due humility, I think we need to be planning everything we do to be in concert with the balance that Mother Nature has given us. And the work that you all do obviously is critical to that. In our city and most every city in America, urban heat islands are a major source of inequity for our citizens that suffer the most, contributors to climate change, to air pollution, stormwater runoff, and noise. So the solution, obviously simple: more trees all the time, good trees, and properly spaced, of course, the right species, not close to the buildings. And it's not an exact science to do that, but more trees certainly are a solution. You'll be hearing from our great urban forestry team here in a second, Steve Ashley and Jared Smith. I want to thank them under the capable leadership of Dr. Masude for our team here that has really focused on how we can do the best we can with our urban tree canopy. This team is planting 2,000 new trees throughout the city, including 500 here in our downtown central business district. So you'll be seeing a lot of that. We also are the home of a really groundbreaking project called the Green Heart Project. And the Green Heart Project originated out of the University of Louisville's Envirome Institute. So the Envirome Institute studies the interrelationship between people and nature, amongst other things. And what we're demonstrating in concert with the National Institute for the Health and the Nature Conservancy, and I saw Chris Chandler here, is what is the impact on vegetative medicine and cardiovascular health. Okay, vegetative medicine, fancy way of saying what? More trees. Okay, can I hear it from you guys? More trees. Thank you. Okay, so we really haven't studied this to the extent that we should about, just imagine before technology. We human beings were part of nature. We grew up with nature, plant-based medicine, all this, and we've lost our way over the years. So what we hope to demonstrate is that how vital, healthy tree canopies contribute scientifically, we can measure that, to health. And we've seen that on some of our small projects, but the Green Heart Project is a big project that will demonstrate that and have global significance. So while you're in town, please get out and about. We're the home of a beautiful Olmsted Park system. About 6 cities in the country are blessed with that, and we're one of those. It was really our second big piece of infrastructure in the city after the river. That's why we were founded. And then Olmsted started doing his work in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So between the parks and the parkways, you'll really appreciate the mature old trees that we have there. Try to visit Bernheim Forest that's just up the road. And if you do that, there's a nice bourbon distillery across the street from that. And yes, you'll hear a lot about bourbon while you're here in Louisville, because 95% of the world's bourbon comes from Kentucky, and the other 5% is counterfeit. So, okay, so stay away from that, all right? So I want to just close by thanking you all, but really encourage you to be advocates with elected officials. Because for some reason, there's people in the world that don't want to fund trees. I mean, I don't get it. But they advocate to not fund trees. Okay, so that means for people that believe in trees and believe in nature and believe in the environment and sustainability, you have to advocate. And do not underestimate the power of a telephone call and email from you and a circle of friends into a council person in your city that don't receive a lot of that. But if they receive a half a dozen, it's like, oh my gosh, we better fund trees. Okay, so please be aggressive with your advocacy efforts to elected officials, whether it's council members or mayors, or right now, make sure that you're getting some of the knowledge out about President Biden's Build Back Better bill. There's $2.5 billion in the Build Back Better bill for tree equity. Okay, that's a big deal. Or as Biden would say, it's a big effing deal. Okay, so don't feel like you're voiceless on that. Please make sure that folks understand what can be done with local city budgets, state budgets, and then federal budgets as well. So thank you all so much for coming to our city. If there's anything I can do to help while you're here, please let me know. I know Henry, Cindy, and Masude and others will be there as well. But take care. Have a great conference.